Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to lecturer. I hope you are in a good situation. Today our group would like and love to present about the major issues of human rights in Malaysia with the roles of SUHAKAM in addressing such issues. Before we start, let me introduce our group members. The first speaker is me and my name is HANIS HANNANI binti ISHAK. Second speaker is
My name is AFIQA ANISA binti ZURAIMI.
Third is
My name is NURFATINI.
Fourth,
My name is NURUL binti AZHARI.
and the last speaker is
My name is Ayuni binti ROSDI.
Without further ado, let me start with our introduction first. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Human rights or fundamental freedoms are rights that an individual has under the law. It is often a demand of society to ensure that the same rights can be enjoyed together regardless of rank, degree, descent, religion, race, skin color, and so on. In Malaysia, non-governmental organizations or some known as NGOs that often call and criticize so that human rights issues are given equally to all citizens. So, with the criticism and spark of ideas given in 1999, the Human Rights Commission of Malaysia, SUHAKAM, was established by Parliament under the Human Rights Commission of Malaysian Act 1999, Act 597. The Act was gazetted on 9 September 1999 and the inaugural meeting of SUHAKAM, the first was held on 24 April 2000. In addition, various reasons have prompted the Malaysian government to finally consider establishing a national human rights institution. We can see that Malaysia is an active country in the UNCHR in fighting for human rights. The results of the 1933 World Conference on Human Rights in Vienna opened the minds and eyes of all countries, including Malaysia, where they agreed the human rights and are universal and irreplaceable, and they also recognize the importance of the establishment of human rights bodies at the national level. With the vision of a society in which human rights are fully respected and enjoyed equally by all. Of course, the purpose of the establishment of SUHAKAM is to protect human rights in Malaysia. In addition, the organization serves as advice and assists the government in complying laws, directives and administrative procedures related to human rights as well as recommending measures to be taken. Therefore, the establishment of SUHAKAM is said to have been implemented at the right time because it is in accordance with the wish and demands of society in general to create an independent institution to protect and preserve human rights in Malaysia. I think that's all for the introduction. I will pass the presentation to the next presenter. Okay, next, we move to major issues of human rights in Malaysia. Every year, we must be shocked by the growing number of human rights issues in Malaysia. This issue has many ways that have been devised to prevent it, but with the existence of irresponsible groups who make these issues as an opportunity in their own interest. Among the major issues of human rights in Malaysia are human trafficking, freedom of expression, and child marriage. Let's look at the first major issue of human rights, which is human trafficking. According to the Section 2 Akta Anti-Perdagangan Orang and Anti-Penyelidikan Migran 2007, human trafficking is defined as an act involving the acquisition or retention of a person's labor or services through coercion such as recruiting, transporting, transferring, protecting, providing or receiving a person. We can see the issue of human trafficking is a global issue that affects most countries in the world. This situation requires the governments of various countries, including the Malaysia government, to work to address the issue of human trafficking through various approaches. According to Muhammad Bakri, human trafficking is at an increasingly alarming level, with an estimated nearly 2.5 million people from various countries being trafficked worldwide. Among the characteristics of human trafficking is that victims are limited in choosing their rights. Where this exploitation and restrictions occur is the reason why the trade is often referred to as modern slavery, as it involves the forced labor of women and children. Victims of human trafficking will be used to make a profit as a source of income for these illegal smugglers. In this issue, Malaysia is often considered as a destination and transit country for human trafficking activities because Malaysia is a country of rapid economic development in addition to the prosperity enjoyed. As a result, many victims of human trafficking use the country as their destination of choice to commit illegal acts. I think that's all from me. I will pass the presentation to the next presenter. Thank you.
And I will continue this presentation with freedom of expression and child marriage. Freedom of expression is a term referred to as an ability of an individual or groups to voice out their opinions, beliefs, emotions about issues free from any government censorship. The protection of these rights is under the Article 10 Federal Constitution of Malaysia, which stated that every citizen has the right to freedom of expression and speech, subject or any reasonable restriction put out by federal law. This also includes the interest of the friendly relationship between other countries, security of the federation, morality to contempt the court and defamation to any offence. Moreover, in Article 10, subject to Clause 2, 3 and 4, every citizen has the right to freedom of speech and expression, and all citizens has the rights to connect peacefully without any help, and all citizens have the rights to form any association. Even though the freedom of expression gives a huge enjoyment to individuals or groups, it is restricted under the grounded law. Nowadays, freedom of expression can be seen in social media where society express their true feelings about something. Some of the social media platforms for freedom of expression are Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. In Malaysia, any individual or groups that writes a controversial statement about the government will be detained by the police and will be getting punishment. For example, in October 2020, PDRM investigated 4 owners of social media accounts for insulting the Agong. The statement has been used was full of hatred towards the Agong and they have received their punishment. From what has been stated, expressions that propagate war and support the incitement to national, racial and any religious hatred, violence and discrimination are prohibited. By doing improvements, society can be able to use freedom of expression wisely. The main reason why Malaysia has major issues in freedom of speech because society turns it into hate speech. When the rights have been given to them, they can express their voice freely until it reaches the limit and becoming worse. This condition is called hate speech, the abuser of freedom to harm others with speech to cause violence. Free speech and hate speech are two different things. Free speech is when we are free to express our opinion, while hate speech is when we say things that are offensive to others. This can be seen in the case of James and Commonwealth of Australia 1936, AC 578, where it stated that free speech does not mean free speech. It's a speech that hedged by all the laws against defamation, blasphemy, sedition, and so on. It means freedom governed by law. When hate speech takes over the freedom of expression, this will make people think that they have a chance to spread negativity to others. Negativity thoughts will later lead to chaos that separates us, as especially in the multiracial society. Hate speech also can be seen in political life. The politician who is brave enough to make hate speech will create a huge controversy in the country because the mass media will be responsible to spread the news to society. For example, on 26 December 2020, Azwandin Hamzah, president of Jaringan Melayu Malaysia (JMM), threatened to attack the police station during rally in Selangor. He also was investigated by the police for insulting Minister P. Warta Murthy, the Primary Industries Minister's Tersakal in Prime Minister's Department. The result from this case is society may never see the politician in a good perspective again, and this will lead to a loss of interest and respect. If this situation can't be controlled, the rights to freedom of expression might be taken away from us in the future. Next, I will go to the next issue, which is child marriage. Convention on the Rights of the Child Marriage, CRC, in 1995 introduced the Child Act in 2001. This act is responsible for any children's rights in Malaysia. The government realized that the children are the new generation that will become the leader of the country. These acts are initiative from the government to protect children's rights, incorporates the core principle of non-discrimination, best interest of the child, the rights to live and respect for the views of the child. When it comes to the rights of children, one of the main issues in Act is child marriage. According to Malaysia's population of housing census in 2010, there are nearly 16,000 girls below the age of 15 were in marriage. Due to Malaysia's dual legal system, the minimum age of marriage for Muslim boys are 18 years old, while for Muslim girls are 16 years old. This has been determined by either civil law or Sharia law. However, exceptions can be made for children to marry at a much younger age, as long as they obtain the Islamic court's consent. Child marriage is something that society fails to care about. Even the marriage is legal because it is under the children's right. There are many issues from child marriage that happened in our life. A child who gets into an early marriage might face more risk than adults who know how to handle the situation professionally. For example, in February 2013, a 40-year-old restaurant manager raped a 13-year-old child and he seeks the Sharia court for approval to marry her. The court didn't approve his wish since there is no objection to the marriage from civil society organizations, media, concerned adults and society. Every child in this world deserves the moment of being a child. They deserve to be happy, and if they face this kind of traumatized moment in their life, they will feel violated and having trust issues in the future. The issue happened when parents or the adults make decision for the children without caring about their consent. They still have a mindset that a child is still someone who can't think properly about their life. This can be seen in the case from March 2010, where an 11-year-old girl was found semi-conscious in a mosque in Selangor. She married a 41-year-old man after he manipulated her father that marrying her is not a problem. The marriage was repealed by the Kelantan Sharia Court because it does not abide by the Sharia law. This shows that a child might get easily manipulated by others, and this might affect their future as a new generation. A child who was abused may leave them traumatized until they get old. When the parents are being asked about the decision, they mostly explained that girls nowadays are too hard and too wild to handle, and marrying them will make them feel safe. For example, they usually marrying their daughter to someone that is a lot older than their daughter who they barely know. This often happens to the poorer communities because girls will sacrifice themselves to be in an early marriage for the sake of family's economic survival. By doing this, the daughter might be involved with the marriage abuse. She also might get involved in health conditions such as HIV or AIDS if her husband practiced promiscuity before. That's all from me. Now, the next presenter will continue the presentation. Thank you so much.
I'll be explaining to you the first role of SUHAKAM. SUHAKAM is very important to foster awareness in how important is human rights should be taken to every agency whom involved unintentionally or intentionally and giving educations that are related to human rights. Hence, first step can be taken to avoid things like human trafficking and child marriage, which is one of SUHAKAM roles from happen in our surrounding. By foster awareness and provide educations that are related to human rights, it is very important because it may help the cases from keep increasing day by day. By foster awareness, we can help SUHAKAM to solve this problem from let the human trafficking get the majority involvement. In example, we can use social media as a platform to foster awareness. By using social media to promote SUHAKAM is a great way to raise awareness by sharing stories and resources. It will get more people thinking the need and the importance of SUHAKAM in the society. Other than that, every teacher in middle school and high school need to educate their students about anything that are related to human rights. Same goes to the university student lecturer need to invite one of the organization who is involved in SUHAKAM to give a talk.
We proceed with the second role of SUHAKAM. Among the role of SUHAKAM is to advise and assist the government in formulating legislation and administrative directive and procedure and recommend measures to be taken. The establishment of SUHAKAM helps the pupil a lot regardless of race, religion, and ethnicity. The organization has simplified the complaints procedure involving the government. With the role of SUHAKAM, it has been established by the Act clearly indicated. SUHAKAM is not only act against individuals involved in the violation of human rights, but also against the government, especially in giving advice on human rights. In performing this role, the Commission is authorized under subsection 2 to do things such as the power to provide advice and recommend appropriate measure and action to the government and certain authorities on complaints made against them. Based on observation and recommendation received from SUHAKAM, there are issues that have been raised which are issues covering various aspects of human rights that are important agenda in Malaysia and even internationally. For example, the issue of freedom of expression. In Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it states that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression, including freedom of opinion without restriction, and obtain, receive, and disseminate information and ideas through the media without borders. The government has also reviewed in terms of policy and found that there are no restrictions for anyone to give an opinion, speak out, or disseminate information. However, the abuse of freedom of expression or any human right can cause to unrest and tension in society that can threaten national security should be avoided, such as incitement, slander, intimidation, and others. Hence, SUHAKAM plays an important role to advise and assist the government in formulating legislation and administrative directive and procedure and recommend measures to be taken. It is to ensuring that human rights in Malaysia can be preserved and protected, and government can take steps to always listen to the issue arise from the people in order to maintain and ensure national harmony. I think that's all from me. I will pass the presentation to the next presenter.
And I will continue with the role of SUHAKAM, which is to investigate complaints regarding human rights violations. The first is the Human Rights Commission of Malaysia, or SUHAKAM, has the power to investigate allegations of violation or abuses of human rights. SUHAKAM will typically not investigate concerns within another agency's jurisdiction or related to the duplication of others' institution activity. SUHAKAM isn't a custodial agency. If an investigation by SUHAKAM shows that human rights have been violated, SUHAKAM will send this problem to the authorities or to the person concerned. The Commission believes that activities such as awareness raising and monitoring are important components to prevent human rights violations, especially regarding child marriages. SUHAKAM has the competence to investigate claims that violate human rights, especially in relation to children. This is because when investigating complaints from the public, SUHAKAM will take appropriate action to safeguard the welfare of such children. International human rights standards recognize the right of children to live free from physical, mental, and sexual violence. Yet, in many countries where child marriage is an accepted practice, governments have also failed to commit crime of domestic violence and marital rape. Girls in child marriage are already vulnerable because of their age and isolated because of their gender and low social status, are therefore denied the protection from their rulers that they desperately needed. Hence, SUHAKAM must play its role in ensuring the human rights, especially of children in Malaysia, and always listen to complaints and investigate in fair and just manner for the well-being and harmony of the country. Next, I will proceed with the conclusion. SUHAKAM has significant potential to lead in issue of human rights in Malaysia and can play a vital and active role with the government together with other actors in civil society. It has developed enormously and has to move more courageously as a truly independent commission, while remaining under no influence from former government or industry association. The book of the commissioners has a story of public and private activity. This is important as the nation looks on the commissioners as guardian of human rights where the government has failed and the judiciary has not lived up to its mark. ESC rights are the common person's concern and needs defending and voicing out. As Malaysia races down the corridors of economic development, only human rights entitled such as NGOs and NHRS like SUHAKAM can play pivotal role in ensuring that the rights of the people are not neglected and the negative impact of development is minimized. With education, SUHAKAM hopes the public will lodge their grievance and human rights violation. SUHAKAM will successfully foster a learning environment that encourages individual participation in developing a caring society that upholds human dignity and values friendship, understanding, tolerance, and equality. I think that's all for our group presentation. Thank you.